All right. Thanks so much for reminding me. Okay, so let me do my setup. Okay, so this is the UI that we will be building today. Okay, and we will practice some of the topics that you guys have learned this week, and hopefully also learn something new. As this is the first week, I was a little limited in my choice of projects, but I promise that next week you guys will cover like more topics, so I will have a little bit more freedom, and we will talk about maybe some like animations, like CSS animations and transitions and stuff. So it will be a little bit more exciting. Today, this UI is like, it's quite simple, but it's still necessary to go through this simple, sometimes like similar UI stuff, just to, solidify the things that you have learned over the week. Okay, so stick with me. Can you guys see the picture?
Yes.
Okay, this may be a little better. So this is the UI that we will be building. And I did find those pictures that we will be using today. Hold on, let me share them with you so you guys can, this one. So I think this one is the yurt picture. Oh. So yeah, please everyone. Can you guys see the notification in the chat? Shared something. So this one should be the yurt. Okay. So this is the one that we will be using here. We also need this background picture. I wonder if I have it. Oh, yes, we do. Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna share it in the chat as well. And don't worry, I will also share the project at the end of the class. I always do. So don't feel pressured to code with me. What I would prefer for you guys to do is to like brainstorm it together, discuss it with me, so we can build the project together. Okay, and then I will always share the code. So you don't have to worry about it.
Can you also the better I think is share to the Slack, because it's gonna later when we're gonna start to do the same thing, I'm gonna lose the picture.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Those links, right?
Or just in the end, just full code, or you want a picture of them. It's just
So
for the want to find the picture, so.
Sure. Yeah, so we agreed that at the end of the class, I will send the picture, the UI picture, and the project itself in the Slack channel. Then, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Okay.
Asela, can you please share the project page?
The project page?
Yes.
You mean this UI?
This one, this UI, yes.
Sure, 1 second. I will just send it on Slack.
Thank you.
It will take a minute. Okay, there we go. Found it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so this is the UI that we will be working on, and we will start it like totally from scratch. Let me move this around a little bit. Okay. All right. So can you guys tell me what does doc type mean? Just from in your own words, why do we need it?
for the browser, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So what does it do? What kind of information does it convey to the browser?
Just like letting the browser know there is the HTML type of file or something like that.
Okay. Okay, cool. So this actually tells the browser what kind of HTML document it's expecting. So currently, do you guys know currently which version of HTML we're using?
5.
5.
5, right? So it doesn't say HTML5 just because they decided not to. But when the browser sees HTML, it means that it's expecting HTML5 format. All right, cool.
On the old ones, it's like a whole like a code, right? The full code for the just a doc type, the old HTML.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what happens if you accidentally pass the wrong doc type?
I have no idea.
Any guesses, Janar?
I guess it won't work, it won't read.
Okay, so the browser will still figure it out, but it may render your page in a so-called quirky mode, which means that it may render some aspects of your page wrongly, so to say, but it will still render the page.
What mode is it, you said?
Quirky.
Quirky?
Hmm?
Okay.
All right, cool, very nice. So what happens in the head section here? What kind of information we have here?
Metadata.
So what does metadata mean?
It's like all information about that file. Like you have.
Can users see the metadata?
Nope.
No.
Unless they do inspect element, right? But otherwise, it's not visible to like a regular user.
Only title maybe.
Yeah, the title of the document could be visible. Cool. Okay. So why is it important to place the correct metadata in your web page?
Like make the like correct setting of like if you want to make how to say that for the browser, like for example that meta one the viewport is device with, so it's make it like responsible for the all devices. Like, is it right?
You mean responsive?
Yeah, responsive. Yes.
Yeah, it does play some part in the responsiveness of the page.
Yeah.
That's true. Anything else? I want to hear from Aziza. What do you think? Aziza, are you there? All right. Gulnur?
Sorry, can you just repeat the question? So why we're placing?
So why is metadata important? Why do we need it? If user cannot see it, like why bother?
So I'm not really sure, but I think for the file to be read correctly.
Uh-huh. To some extent, yes, to some extent. Okay, so what does meta tag like consist of? I mean, you can see it right here, like, but what's like what does name mean? What does content mean?
Well, for the content, I believe this is like the screens, right? Like it's because it's written with, and like so it will be correctly visible in all the screens, like the tablet's phone or the laptop.
Okay. So in order for this metadata to be rendered or to be like processed correctly, right? It has two attributes. As you notice here, it has the name attribute and the content attribute. And name and content can be different. have you guys ever seen other kind of metadata before? Like other Hmm?
No.
No?
It's
Okay.
also
No.
after, I guess, and like content name is it after, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it can be authored, which will basically tell you. So for example, I love putting my name in in different places. So I'll just put myself.
You
Okay.
just give some information about the file, right? It's not
Yeah.
like
Exactly. So the name property, basically it tells what kind of metadata we're looking at. So in this case, the author of the page. Who is the author? Me,
Mhm.
right? What else? What kind of other metadata we have? The one that's really, really important to remember is keywords.
oh, the keyword.
Oh, keywords. Okay. So is it for search engines?
Exactly. Yeah. So when we say that search engine will, have you guys discussed SEO before?
About keywords? No.
Okay. So when you are reading about metadata, you will always come across this, this like statement that it's really important for search engines, but no one really explains why, right? So the reason is, one of the reasons is this keywords property here. You're supposed to list the keywords of your article in the content part of your metadata. So for example, let's say this project is about, wait, where's our picture?
Kyrgyzstan travel.
Yeah, so it's like
Travel.
about tourism, Kyrgyzstan, I don't know, what else? Like, I used to be a copywriter. I used to be very creative. Now I totally killed that part of myself. So let's say it's like travel, tourism, Kyrgyzstan, right? So those are the keywords. Travel, tourism, Kyrgyzstan.
So you don't have to take every word in quotation marks, right? You can
No,
just list it in the, okay.
yeah, with a comma. It expects you to list them with a comma. So what happens when Google, so let's say someone Googles travel to Kyrgyzstan. Google will look through thousands of pages and it will look at the metadata, at the keywords, to see if they match the current search query of the user. So if someone Googles travel to Kyrgyzstan, you have more chances of, being ranked higher in the search results of Google if your keywords will match the search query. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what websites often do is that they will try to fit in like a lot
As
of
many
unrelated keywords so that they pop up whenever like other people search for, totally different thing. So if you try to do that, so for example, here we can say, I don't know, let's say IT bootcamp, right? Because it's a popular topic. So what happens if we insert this keyword into our metadata, but in fact, our web page doesn't have anything related to IT bootcamp? Then Google will actually punish you because they know that your keywords are not matching with your content. So they will punish you and they will rank you lower. So it's important to, to list the correct keywords. So how do you know which keywords will help you? Because right now it's pretty straightforward, right? We have one page, so it's easy to find the keywords. But how do you know which keywords to list here?
List. What do you mean?
So how do you know which keywords are like most successful keywords to put in your list of content? So like travel, tourism, Kyrgyzstan. How do you figure it out?
So
From
Google
our,
it.
Hmm?
we can predict what the user will be trying to find, what keywords will be used in the search,
Mhm.
or also we can use the words that are commonly used on our web page, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, you can also use, there are specific tools to help you navigate. One of them is, for example, like a really popular one is, it's called SEMrush. By the way, I interviewed with them and I failed. But it's like an SEO company, and they help you rank better in like search engine results. And they will help you find like the best keywords that will help you rank higher in the search results. Because basically, if you don't exist on the first page of Google, you don't exist as a business, right? No one goes to the second page. Like almost nobody goes to the second page. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's why it's very important. Okay, so is it a bit more clear about the metadata part?
Yes, thank you. I never thought about that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad we could talk about it. Okay, all right. So now let's start with the content. I keep losing our picture, I think. Okay. So let's build the HTML part first, and then we can move on to styling it. All right. So let's look at our page here and try to identify like main parts of the UI. And also let's try to use semantic elements more, since you guys are already familiar with semantic elements. So let's use them more rather than like simple divs.
So we have an image here on the top.
Mhm.
Like maybe we can put it in the header. The header would include the image of the Kyrgyzstan travel and the navbar navigation bar.
Logo one.
Mm.
Logo and
Okay.
so
And
logo,
probably
logo and the list goes, like a header.
Uh-huh. So I agree. I think it would be more convenient to place a logo and the nav bar into header. So this part would be header. This image, um, it's not exactly a header. I would say it's more like a banner or like a hero image. Usually like it's called like a banner image. So it's more like it's there for presentational purposes rather than, serve any other functional purpose, right? So it's more like a banner image. Okay, cool. So how about this lower part here?
Is it a picture or you
Okay.
found font family like that? Like on the heading.
Oh,
Yeah.
this one.
Is it picture or you found the font size like that? A
Oh,
font.
it's a font. Are
It's
you
a
guys
font.
familiar with Google Fonts?
Yeah.
Okay. How about the others? Because I know that Dawood has some learning experience, but Gulnur and Janar, are you familiar with Google Fonts?
Yes, Mario showed us yesterday.
Cool. Okay. So then we will have no problem finding the pretty font that we want to use here. Cool. Okay. So how about this section here?
Can put it in main and create several divs within the main part.
Several divs within. Okay, so this could be like a main section, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this could be an article.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. Nice. Very nice. So let's start. You guys will have to help me because I have a memory span of like a fish from like this cartoon Finding Nemo. They had this fish who kept forgetting everything. So I have like memory span of that fish. I think her name was Gloria or something. So you guys will have to help me. So where do I start?
Make the header
Okay.
element.
Mm-hmm. What do we have inside our header? What did we decide to put there?
Logo.
We
Logo
have
list.
up. Mm-hmm. So let's give it a class name of up. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see if I have it here. Have I shared the logo?
Yes, you did share.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, no, not yet.
I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to have it. Oh, yeah, found it. Okay, I will also send it in the chat if you guys want. Okay, it's in the chat now. Cool. So we have a logo. And what else?
List.
Nav,
Cool. We have a nav section here. So
and
how
in the nav,
Mhm.
we can put unordered list
Okay.
with 5 ULIs.
Okay. So let's see what we have here. Destinations.
Destinations, rent a car, things to do,
Okay.
rent a car, things to do, tours, and contacts.
Oh,
Contacts.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so we have that. So how about this banner image here? What do we do with it?
Can we include it also in the header?
I think
Or-
it's I'm not sure if it would be the best idea. I think it's good like to stand on its own, right? Do we
Okay, yeah.
to be just an image? How do we want to place it? As an image or something else?
Maybe give it a class name so we can like expand it, stretch it.
So like a div with a background image.
Yes.
Okay, sure. Let's do that. So we have our header. Let's give it a class up. Look at that. Okay, let's say banner, right?
Yeah.
And we can insert that image as a, when we start working on our CSS, we can insert it as a background image.
So do you think it's better idea to place the image in CSS rather than in HTML?
It's the same.
Um,
I know, yeah, it's the same thing, but which one would be a better practice? Because I usually put it in HTML.
I'm not sure which one would be like a better approach. I think since you guys worked with images, I'm pretty sure in previous classes. So let's do like a div with a background image so we can practice background image properties because there's a bunch of them. And I will show you like what kind of effect each one has on the background image property.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, so we are pretty much, we have this part right here in our markup. So this quote, how about this quote? What does it say? Travel teaches more than anything. Okay, so let's insert this quote and then we can style it. Should it be just a div?
Yeah, maybe a div and give it a class name of like, I don't know, fancy font.
Okay. Let's do something. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. So we have that. So now let's move on to our main section
The
here.
main section. Yep.
By the way, let's save and refresh. Are you guys using what's the word? Like a live what was that? The live
Live server.
yeah,
Place of yeah.
in classes. Okay, cool. So you're familiar with it. Okay, so now we decided that we will wrap that main section
Mm-hmm.
into main tag, right? Okay, cool. So we have one article here on the left-hand side. So let's do article. And then, okay, so I'm gonna use the title.
H4. Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay, we can do H4. But let's not do the text. We'll just use dummy text.
Yeah.
This one says unforgettable
Adventure.
future. All right. And then in like a paragraph, we can do
Lorem 100 maybe.
100. Yeah, that's good. So how about this image here? So I think maybe we should wrap this article and this image into like one section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to sort of divide it into like upper section and like a lower section.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Let's do a section here. And let's give it a class name of tab section, inside which we will have an article and our image, which I'm pretty sure I already shared somewhere. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then we will have another section, which is which will have 3 articles. Right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this content so we don't spend too much time on that. So we need 3 of them. So 1, 2, and 3. All right, let's just change the titles maybe. We have Tashrabat, Purana, and Alarcha. Okay. Cool. So that's pretty much it with our HTML part. Nice. So then we can move on to CSS. Before we do that, let's take a 10-minute break. I just noticed that we're 1 hour in. Do you guys usually use some kind of timer or something?
Mario sets on Google timer for 10 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So let's take a 10-minute break then. And we'll be back to work on the CSS part then. Okay?
Okay, see you.
Thank you. See you soon. Okay. Are you guys back with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes.
Gulnur Janar. Who else is here? Aziza, Davud, and who is Seitek? Hi there. Okay, I see someone with the name Seitek, but I don't know who that is. Okay, cool. So let's start. So we have finished with our HTML markup. Okay, now let's start with the CSS part.
Mhm.
Okay, so with this initial, let's say with the header part, I want one of you to help me style it. Let's start with Gulnur. Do you want to help me here?
Sure.
Mhm.
But Heather, you mean the nav, the buttons?
Yeah, the logo and the buttons.
All right. So for the logo,
Mhm.
we'll like first we will create the CSS styles.
Okay.
And then we in the head we need to link it.
Good.
Link, yes, and style CSS. So we'll put dot logo,
What's that?
dot logo. I mean in the CSS in
Okay.
the next page. Dot logo. And we need to give the size, I mean like width. It's, I'm not sure, maybe 200, 250, 200, 200 pixels.
200. So you're trying to make it like smaller, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that looks good. So right now, how come the image and the navbar are not sharing this horizontal space together? Why is that happening?
Because both of them are blocked, so we need to make them inline.
Let's see. So one of them is an image, right? And another one is a navbar. So are they both block level elements?
Oh, I think image is inline, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And for the nav, it's block.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how come even if like image is an inline, how come it's not sharing space with the navbar here?
Because nav is block, so it needs to take the whole separate.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So how do we resolve this issue?
So for the nav, for the nav, we need to make display and inline block.
Okay, cool. Let's try. Mm-hmm. Good. Nice. Mm-hmm. What's next?
Yeah. We can remove
Asel,
the-
before everything, do we need to zero down the margin and all that things?
For the navbar?
For the whole
The body.
Uh-huh.
page. Yeah.
Yeah, we will get there. We will.
Okay.
First, I wanted to show you like a little something.
Okay.
Then yeah, we will get rid of the margins and paddings. Cool. Okay, so now we have our sort of buttons, right? Next to the logo. Cool. Cool, cool. Okay. So what happens next?
So we need to move it to the right side, right?
So we need right now they're looking like an ordinary list. right?
All right.
And we need to make sure that they look like buttons. So like here. Take your time.
Mm-hmm. So we can give borders and background color for each of them.
So do we give a border to and the background color to an ordered list or to list items?
Um, to list of items.
To each item.
Mhm.
Yeah, to
Okay.
each of them.
So
Now UL alignment.
mhm. So what would be the difference on the UI if we just gave background color to the whole list and not to list items separately?
If you make UL, it means it will take the whole all of them together. But if you want to make it all of them separately, we need to take UL and list.
Okay, nice. So we want list items to have background color, let's say blue. Mm-hmm.
And we can add paddings between them.
Mm-hmm.
This is
So when you say padding between them, what does that mean? Do you mean a space for each list item
padding
or between the
like
items?
bottom,
Hmm?
maybe padding and bottom. I'm not sure.
Okay, let's think about it. So okay, so let's discuss the difference between padding and margin. So in your own words, can you tell me what's the difference between those two properties?
So for example, the padding is like we have here destinations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's inside this border. So the padding will be the gap between the text and the border around it. As for the margin, it's like from outside.
Exactly. So the padding is sort of like a space, but it is within the element. It's still within the element, right? Margin is the outer space. So it's sort of like a breathing room between the list items, right? So if I add padding, let's say 5 pixels, 10 pixels. Right now, we are adding space within each list item element, right? And we also want to separate them. So when we will want to separate them from each other, we will give them margin, right? So margin will separate them between each other, and padding will give them space within the each element, right? Okay. So before we do that, let's let's get rid of these decorations for the UL. How do we get rid of them?
So you will
Something decoration. Was text decoration, I think. None. Set it to none.
Order text decoration?
Yeah.
No, I think text decoration none is the one used for example, when you want to get rid of
Oh, the underline. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
line for like a link. In this
Yes, you're right.
the list style none.
Oh, yeah, list style. That's right.
List up. But that was a good guess. Cool. Okay. So how do we make sure that they are right now they're one on top of another, right? How do we make sure that they're displayed on just like same line?
We can set display to inline in OL or in UL.
To UL. We wanted to display inline.
Yes, inline.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, then to LI. Let's try an LI.
Okay, so what happens when we set display inline to a whole list? What does it?
It takes the whole thing and displays it in line with the other elements.
Right, so it just takes away the block level like property of the list, right? But it doesn't exactly solve our problem because we want list items to be like on the same line, to be displayed as like little buttons on the same line, right?
Yeah.
So let's get rid of that. So what did we decide to do after all?
We can display inline to LI elements.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Then we need to change the color of the font to white.
So is that for UL or list item?
List item.
White. I can't spell today. All right, anything else?
And then we need to move it to the more to the right, the OL.
Yeah, because right now
the
we're
UL.
kind of sticking to the logo, right? So we want it to move a little bit to the right side. How do we do that, Gunnar?
If we, for example, can I just see the HTML file?
HTML? Sure. So we have our image here, and then we have a navbar with UL.
If we just nav, in the nav, if we align items to the right, will it be possible?
Within the navbar?
Yeah, I mean like in the CSS, if we align them inside the nav, we align them to the right side. Align items, and if we put right.
Let's try. So right now, let's see. Where is our navbar? So this is our navbar. Can you see? Do you see the space of the navbar? How much space it's occupying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you align list items to the right of the navbar, so right now navbar doesn't have like the available horizontal space because it's occupying exactly, do you see like the blue space that I'm like hovering over right now? This is how much horizontal space navbar has right now. So why is that happening, by the way? How come it's not occupying like the rest of the horizontal space all the way from like here to here?
Because it's like inline block, so it's
Exactly.
taking that space it needs only.
Yeah, so it will horizontally, if you set an element to inline block, horizontally it will occupy exactly as much space as its elements require, basically, right? Because it does no longer have the whole horizontal space it used to occupy before. So for example, if I hover over this div with a quote, it will occupy the whole horizontal space. Even if the text would be like one word, it would still occupy the whole horizontal space because it has display block property, right? Once we set it to inline block, it will lose that. So in your mind, of course, you think that the navbar is occupying like the whole horizontal space right here after the image. Yeah, but it's good to like always double check.
Mhm.
So what do we do with the navbar now? How do we move it? So right now we don't need to move the items within the navbar. We want to move navbar itself a little bit to the right. So we want to give some space between the logo and the navbar.
We can use margin left, right, for the navbar.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Margin.
Oh,
So let's do, I don't know, 300? Does that look correct? I think it's enough. Yeah,
Yeah, that looks good.
okay. So now when I hover, where is it? Where's my navbar? Oh, it was inside the header. Cool. So now when I hover over the navbar, you can see like the blue part, right? And the yellowish part. So what's the yellowish part showing me? What does it mean?
It's the margin that we
margin.
gave.
It's the margin, right? Cool. Okay. So when I hover over the UL, what do you guys see? Like what's in there? What do all those pretty colors mean?
We have padding,
Mm-hmm.
the greenish.
Right. The greenish part is padding. So where's that padding coming from? Did we give any padding to UL?
We give padding to, yeah, for list of items.
List items. Yeah, we did. But is that the same padding as here? Because if I hover over the line, you will see that list item has its own padding here, right?
Mm.
Here, you can see as I'm hovering over, I want you to look at this part here on the UI. Okay, don't look at the mouse, look at this part here. So I'm hovering over padding. Can you see the padding? It's
Yeah.
it's a little hard to like. So
Mhm.
right now I'm hovering over the content, which is the text itself, right? If I move on to padding, you can see that it's switching. So this is the padding that we gave to the list item. So it's not the same padding, the one that if I hover over the UL, you see there's padding as well, right? So where is that coming from?
I guess it's set by default.
Right. Yeah. So it has its own built-in padding, right? So if we want to get rid of that for some reason, we can do that. So what we can do is we can say padding up. Because sometimes when you're styling elements together, they just don't fit right? So you have to always consider that they have their own, each element has its own built-in margin and padding. So for example, when, I'm sure you guys noticed when you use like H1, right? Obviously the text is larger and it's like bolder, but also it has some vertical space, right? So if you have like a header and then a paragraph coming right after the header, there will be some breathing room between those two elements. Why? Because the browser has its own built-in style for the header for like H1, for example. It has its own margin and padding. Otherwise, on the UI, like when you build just the HTML part, it would all be like mushed up together, right?
Mhm.
And the same with list items and unordered list and ordered list. It also has its own margin and padding. So that's where these are coming from. So you see that the orange part is margin and the greenish part right here is the padding. So now we can get rid of them just for you guys to feel the difference. Okay, you see? Now there is no, the space that was just intuitively there, right?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
no, Okay, cool. Where were we? I got a little distracted, sorry. So we were styling our list items. Cool. Okay, so now let's make sure that they fit in nicely with our image right here. So right now it seems like inside our header, like the image is a little bit, is placed a little bit higher than the nav bar, I would say. So how do I make sure that the nav bar is like a little bit more centered?
Align items and center.
Mm.
Oh, no, it will not.
Align items centered to which element exactly?
I think this one, it will not work. Maybe,
As far as I remember, align item center works for horizontal space more. And I think it even works for like only inline elements like buttons. But we'll have to double check that. It's like as far as I remember. But yeah, we just want to move our navbar a little bit like to the same level as our image. Or vice
can you,
versa. Hmm?
we can use margins again, like top
Okay.
or.
So, okay, let's give margin to navbar. So right now our margin, our navbar has margin left already. So we want to also give it a margin bottom, right? So that it's like a little bit moved up vertically. So we don't want to have two margin properties, like we don't want to have margin left and then margin bottom, because it's just not efficient. So you can, I'm sure you guys covered it, but you can write margins on one line, right? So it can be like in two ways. So it can be either, so for example, you can say margin 300 pixels, 100 pixel. So if it has two properties, it means that it's top and bottom, and then left and right, right?
Yeah.
But we want margin left and margin bottom only, right? So how do we do? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, and 300, or for example, the bottom 100 pixels, and that's it.
So 100 like that.
No,
I think there
300
should be
and
maybe
0
set
pixels.
to 0, the right and the left one.
So what happens if I do margin 300 and 100? Let's see.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is a lot of space, right? So what happens is if I go to the nav bar here, you see, nav bar has a lot of margin right now. So it has 300 pixels from top and bottom, and it has 100 pixels from left and right. Okay, so and this is what happens when you place two properties after margin property. It will, by default, it will assume that the first property is top and bottom, and second property is left and right. Okay, so if you want, in our case, for example, we only want margin left and margin bottom, right? So in this case, you have to specify each margin separately. And the way you do it is actually, the way I remembered it is it goes clockwise. So top, right? Top, right, bottom, and left. This was like very annoying for me because it took me forever to memorize it. And you don't have to memorize it. Actually, you can always Google it. It's not like anyone's gonna, in an interview, like grill you about the margin property. Of course, like, but it's just, it was annoying, something that I would like have to Google constantly. So I just remembered once and for all that it goes clockwise. Top, right, bottom, and then left, right?
Okay.
So for our margin top, we want 0, right? By the way, if you say 0, you don't have to specify pixels because it just knows that it's non-existent. So for the right part, we want also 0. For the bottom part, let's say 100 for now. And for the left part, we want 300. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
let's refresh. Okay, so now let's see our okay, so 100 is clearly a little too much.
A little too much, yeah.
Also, maybe margin is not the best way to do it, because you see what's happening here is if I'm moving the nav bar, it's still like the image is not still like on the, it's not going to the same level as the image, plus it's pushing the other elements all the way down. So maybe that not like the best strategy.
You can use then absolute and relative, right? Then to move.
We could. I'm just not sure. Like you don't want to use positions for this kind of tasks, I would say. Usually, like you want to use positions for something like, yeah, I don't know if you guys did the like cart homework. So when you're trying to like layer things, or like when you're dealing with something like a bit more complex, I would say. In this case, I don't think it would make too much sense to use positioning. But good guess. What if we try to push the image down instead of pushing the nav bar? So we still wanna keep the 300, right, though? So let's do margin left 300. It was the logo, right? I don't know. Else. Oh,
Excuse me, can you show us the original website, how you're gonna do that?
Sure.
Um,
this one.
okay. Yes, then you would just, if I were you, I would just wrap the, so you have a list, right? And then you did it in line block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this Kyrgyzstan travel, so you wrap one division, right?
What's that?
Okay, if I were you, I would just wrap the Kyrgyzstan tour in one division, and then in another division, and then you can just give in width.
Okay, so
Yeah, okay, one second. So, okay, you have a picture, this is the logo, and then you have the header, and if I were you, I would just wrap this image in one division, and another,
if you mean?
yes.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, I'm not sure, but yes, I would do that, and then given width, like, yeah, for example, header, you can give like 100 width, and then division, you can like give it 25, for example, and the nav, I would also give the, like, let's say 100 and then 80%, you know, and then it will be easy to move also the logos, I mean the bottoms, you know, I mean the list also. So it would be much easier. Then we'll use less the margin, like 300, you know. I don't
Okay.
know, but it would be easier like that.
Okay, cool. So we wrapped it in a div.
Yeah, div. Also, it is in also header. Yes, exactly. So then we will give an header 100% width.
We don't need to give 100% width to the header because it's 100% by default.
By default, okay. Then the div, like then we can give 20% for a logo or 25, and then another division. Now we also can give, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we can do that. So to the navbar, we can give a width of 80%.
Yeah.
And to the
And can you put like a border 1 pixel so we can see exactly how it's, then it will be very easy to move us. I mean,
so let's 1 second, logo wrapper. So let's use our logo wrapper and let's give it a width of let's do 15.
and the
Okay.
and then can you give also border 1 pixel so we can see, and then we can delete after, you know, it will be very easy. Yes, 1 pixel, and height like 50.
Why do you need a height?
No, just we will see. Then we can just delete and we will see, and it will be easy for us to move. Yes. Yes.
There you go.
So now and then you know, division, and it is also block elements, right? So we have to give them display flex. Because
Yeah,
now
I'm specifically not using display flex because you guys haven't covered flex properties. I'm sure not everyone is familiar with those, right?
you know, we had like lessons about that.
About flex properties?
Yes, like you know, like a display flex and inline block, you know.
Oh, it's supposed to be in the third week, but okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, if you guys are familiar with flex
We
Yeah.
didn't really cover the Flexbox yet. We just talked that there are these and these options.
Okay, yeah, because I was like specifically not using Flexbox because this is like a separate topic in the curriculum, which is going to be covered.
But we have used this display inline block, right?
Right.
Yes, the same. Just inline block, and you just put on display flex. It's two different things.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone is comfortable using Flexbox.
Okay.
I'm okay. I don't mind.
Okay. So, I mean, what we can do is we can just set display flex to the whole header, and then we can use those two items. We have navbar and a div, and just use justify content space between to make sure that they are displayed on like separate ends of the header. Are you guys familiar with these properties?
I just put on a chat, is it what you're saying?
Yeah. Then of course, like all of that would be much easier. Then we don't have to use margins and paddings.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Asel. You know, the Dawood, you are right. You know, you sent this display flex. You know, we had actually right classes about that, about this topic, display flex, right? Yes, we had this with Mario, like justify content space between. You know, this is we are familiar with.
Okay, cool. So let's do that then. It will make our life much easier. So then what we can do is we can set display flex to the whole header.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it
Mhm.
means that the items within the header, so these two items, this div, which is a logo wrapper, in this navbar, will become flex items now, right? So if I do inspect element again,
Yes.
you will see that this header now has display flex on it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see on the right-hand side?
Mm.
Okay, cool. So now these two items can be controlled with flex properties. So in this case, what we can do is we can use justify content. So for justify content, we have three options: space around, space between, and space evenly. Do you guys know the difference between them?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't really know. I got it space between, but space around and space evenly, I don't know.
So space between will take the horizontal space available horizontal space, and it will place it between the two elements, right?
Mhm.
So right now, let's get rid of, where is it? We have width here and width here. And now let's get rid of those. It's a bit more clear this way. So these are two flex items, right? And if we use space between property, it will take the whole available horizontal space and it will put it between those two items. Okay, so that's space between. If we use space around, now this available horizontal space will be placed around each item. It means that, let's say we have, can you guys see, like we have some space on the sides here, and we have a bit more space between. Why? Because each like available piece of horizontal space is distributed around those items. Okay?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's also space we covered between, around, or evenly. So the difference between space around and space evenly is that it will take the available horizontal space and it will put it, it will divide it into even parts between the elements. So you guys can see now that the available horizontal space is like equally distributed between those two items. Does it make sense? Do you
Yeah.
guys? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So in this case, it would make sense to either use space around or space between. Okay. And since we are talking about Flexbox, it is of course much easier to control the sort of the placement of items vertically and horizontally, because Flexbox is very smart. So it does handle a lot of things for us. So if you want to center an item within a Flex container, so you can just use align items
Center.
right? Which will align them, as you can see. Yeah, and if we wanted to like center, for example, let's say an image within div, right? So then we would use justify content center, line items center. So it would perfectly center an image within a div. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, nice. Do you guys still need those borders?
No.
Okay. Where is it?
Logo wrapper.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Okay. Also, let's add like a little bit of effect for those buttons. So when I hover over the button, what kind of like how can I tell the user that those are clickable buttons?
Over.
You can change the cursor or the pointer to cursor, and you can set the hover to change the background color when you hover over the line.
Okay, yeah. So item was it hover, just one hover, okay. So let's say we want to change background color to, I don't know, let's do light blue. Is it gonna be too light? Okay. What if I want to find a shade that is like a little lighter than the current blue color?
You can click the color button and then just move your mouse to a little lighter shade.
So right now it's 00FF. Oh. What was it?
It was just blue, yeah.
0F, right? Okay, so up, no. Okay, I guess I hovered over like, okay. So I want a little bit lighter, maybe something like that.
Or you can just move the alpha a little bit down.
Move
No.
the, so let's do FF. Oh, what was that? Okay, 5F. And this one will be, well, so. Okay, so when we hover, it's gonna be a little up, a little bit darker. We did select a lighter shade, a darker shade, right? How about this one?
Maybe you can just write blue to the background color and then press that button and click a lighter color.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Let's try this one. So on hover, we will do like a darker shade, right? And as a regular color, we will keep the blue color.
You didn't change the hover one. Is on in a quote. Is it work like that? The hover one.
What do you mean?
Like the way you write the background color for the hover.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it should work.
oh, okay.
But it's gonna be darker now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That looks a little too black though. Okay. And let's add maybe a little transition so it doesn't change immediately, right?
Mhm.
Transition.
Mm.
Okay, let's do for the background color, background color. Let's do maybe 0.4 seconds. Is it going to be too slow? Let's see. No, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. So with this transition property, just as a side note, in case you guys are not familiar with it, so transition will help this whatever you're changing. So for example, if we were changing the font size, here we would list the font size. So like the property that we are trying to use the transition on, right? So in our case, we are using the transition on the background color property. So we want background color property to change smoothly within 0.4 seconds and not like immediately like it used to before, right? So that's what we're doing here. So with transition property, first you have to choose the property that you're trying to change. So in this case, our background color. So it will transition from the normal color to the darker color within 0.4 seconds. Okay, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Asel, can I quickly ask a little off-topic question?
Sure.
In your work, how much of creativity, like designer-wise, do you use, or do you just follow the requirements?
It depends. So in our company, we have two main projects that we work on. One of them requires more CSS, I would say, like, but of course we always have a Figma, so it's not like we have to come up with the design. We have
Mhm.
requirements which we have to implement, right?
Okay.
So they require more like pixel perfect design. And another project which I'm currently on, it's sort of like a back office project, so it's more for the like the management. So they don't require you to do a lot of CSS because they care more about like functionality and quick implementation, because it's not like user facing UI, it's more like for inner management purposes. So
Mhm.
right now I'm more working on that one, so they don't really care about CSS. Sometimes we don't even have like a Figma. They will just tell you this is the feature that we want. This is, you know, the approximate design. They will show you like some pictures. And then you just implement however you want. And even
Mm.
Jira in the ticket in the requirement, they will say even if they will like post those pictures that they're originally showing you, they will say that this is just for reference. So they don't even require you to like exactly follow, the design that they offered. So, and they also like tell me that if it's taking too long to implement the styling, just don't do it.
I
Because
see.
they just want like on that specific project, they want quick results. Like it's more important than the design.
I see. Thank you.
Mhm.
Because I think to me, when you put your creativity, coming up with the design, coming up with the layout is sometimes more difficult than implementing the code, putting it into code.
I mean, coming up with a design is not your job. So it's not like you will be required to draw like a button from scratch and then come up with like all the effects. Here we have the freedom to do it, but
Mhm.
most of the times you will be told what to do.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. I see that we have approached the end of our second hour. Do you guys want to have a break? Sorry. Yeah, should we take a second break and then come back to
Yeah, let's do it.
our project? All right. I'm gonna make myself a hot tea because my throat is just giving up on me. I will see you guys in 10 minutes.
Okay, see you soon.
Okay. Are you guys back with me?
Yep.
I'm here.
Cool. Okay, nice. So I'm thinking for the next week, since you guys, I see that a little bit ahead of the schedule. Next week, we could do something on animations. Yeah, since I don't think we have that many like animations and transitions in our curriculum. So we could do it as an extra in our next class. What do you guys think?
Okay.
Like an extra project.
Right.
All right. So let's see, what do we have here? Oh. Okay. So since you guys are already familiar with Google Fonts, let's see. Jana, do you want to help me with Google Fonts or Gulnur?
Do we need to style the banner first?
Oh, we have a banner. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, let's do that. So we have a div. We have a
Okay.
div with a class name banner.
So we can set a background image to the div.
Okay. So here we just need to pass the link to our background image, which is this one. Okay, cool.
And then we can size it to cover.
Before I do that, so I have set the background image, right? So how come it's not showing up? And that question goes to Aziza. Aziza? Okay.
I think, okay.
David, go ahead.
Why the background image doesn't work?
Yeah, so we have a div and we set the background image. So how come it's not on the UI?
Oh, because the div don't have any kind of content, I guess. So
Okay.
Or maybe we can set the width for it.
I mean, the width for the div is automatically set to 100% of horizontal width of the available like horizontal space, right? So as you can see, like I'm right now I'm hovering over this div with a class name banner, right?
Oh yeah, height then, because it's set to 0.
Yeah, so by default, each block level element does have a width. However, it doesn't have a height. So since our div doesn't have the content that would give it some kind of width, right? So we have to assign width to the div. Okay, let's do width. Should we try 200? Did I say width? Sorry, height.
Yeah, height.
Okay, there we go. Maybe a little bit.
Like 250 maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Let's also arrange it a little differently. Okay, that's better.
Yeah,
So-
that's better.
Now that I have set the div to a certain height, right? And we know that it's occupying the whole horizontal width. So how come there is still space on the sides?
The body.
That's the default. Yeah, that's the default margin.
Of
That's of the body.
of the body, exactly. So that's where it's this kind of details can be, you know, important. So when we are stripping off, so right now if I set body margin to 0, right? But right now the image will look fine. However, now we have to think of this nav bar, right? So now let's give it a little bit of, where is it? Our header, right? So we can either give header like some kind of width of like 90%, but then it will, okay, it will occupy 90% of the width. However, it will not be like centered 90%, right? So we can either do that and then center header, or we can give it padding on the sides. So let's do 0 from top and bottom, and then maybe some kind of 20, probably it's too much. How about 10 pixels? Okay, that's good. So when we set the background image property, there are like different background image properties that we can use in order to control the way image is shown on the background. So one of them is background up, background, and you can see here we have background position, background repeat, size, etc. So background repeat is the property that we use in order to control whether the image is going to be repeated on the background or not. So for example, let's say we have, right now, of course, we have like a larger image, but what if we had like a small image and we want that image to be duplicated, I don't know, 10, 15 times for as long as it can fit the horizontal and vertical space, right? So in that case, we would say background, what was that? Background repeat to repeat, basically. So then we would be able to duplicate our background image multiple times for as long as it can fit the background. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be one property. Background, we have background position. Let's see what, okay, so it's, I think background position kind of helps you position the image correctly within the background. So for example, the one that I usually use is just center. Where is it? Center. So it helps you to sort of correctly, you know, place the image within the background available space. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you can position it like a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. But yeah, center is like usually the optimal one that is like I go for.
So basically, if, for example, we have a really large image, then rather than putting the left corner of this
Yeah.
image as our banner, then it would place the middle of the image.
Sort of. Yeah. It kind of centers it within the available horizontal space, so to say.
I see. Mhm.
Okay, let's see what else we have. Background. Oh, I keep switching to like Russian phonetic for some reason. We have background.
Size.
Yep, size. So yeah, I always get confused between those two. One of them, so like contain and cover, I keep forgetting. So let's try cover and see what happens. Okay, so that's cover, and what's contain? Oh, I see. Okay, so I think what cover does is it will like stretch the image to cover the whole background,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And contain will probably just use like a normal size of an image, and yeah, let's double check. Contain and cover. Okay. Yeah. Cover tells the browser to cover the whole area of an element. Contain, on the other hand, tells the browser to show the whole image. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it will contain will show the whole image. It will not care about like covering the whole background. But if we choose cover, it will kind of adjust the image size to make sure that it is used to cover the whole available like background space. Yeah. Okay. So let's go with cover. So those are like some of the background image properties that you can use in order to control the background, the way the background image is positioned, right? Okay, any questions here?
If we choose cover, does it like stretch the whole image, like and distorts this image, or it just zooms to the point when it covers the
I mean, if we
the-
had like, yeah, if we had like a really small image, it would probably be distorted. So then we would have to like figure out another way to do it.
Mhm.
However, since in this case it's like sufficient size, so it will not be distorted to, you know, to like extend. It will not be distorted basically because it has enough of this available size for us to
Mhm.
use. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, cool. Let's give it a little bit of a breathing room between the quote. So let's give it a margin bottom of 20 pixels maybe. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So I have this quote here, right? And it's like centered horizontally. And also, I don't know if we want to spend too much time on the Google font since you guys are already familiar with it. Do you still want to do it, or should we just focus on the UI?
Sorry, can you just show it once?
Sure, yeah,
Just once and that's it. So I will just have an idea.
sure, okay. So Google has a bunch of fonts that we can use. So you guys pick whichever one you want to use for our quote.
Maybe the second one, the playwright.
This one?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So let's do maybe the light version. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this embed option. So we want to place our links here, right? And then when we use it, in our CSS. This one is called Playwright. Okay, so was it a quote or something?
Yeah, quote, class quote.
Mm-hmm. There we go. It's not very readable though, but it's fine. But yeah, it's not super readable, I would say. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any idea of like why they're giving us two options here, playwright and cursive?
In case if playwright is not available, it will apply the cursive.
Exactly. So cursive is like a regular fallback font for playwright, right? So it's like a plan B in
Mhm.
case something is wrong with Google Fonts API, for example, and we cannot get this font. So instead of like our UI being distorted or not showing up at all, we will use cursive as a fallback. Okay, that's why it's font family. So it's not like single font of Playwright. It's font family, where the second and the third options will be like a plan B and plan C. Okay. Cool. So how do I center this text?
Mm,
Like that. How do I make it look like that?
Text align.
yeah, text align center.
Sure, let's try. Text align center. Okay, looks good. Still not enough like horizontal space on the sides.
Maybe add more padding.
Okay. On the sides, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna do 0 and let's do 30. Is that too much?
That's good. Maybe more. Yeah,
More. How about
like 50, 60. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Or we can change the font size, make it smaller.
Do you think it's too large?
No, actually, to smaller,
Mm-hmm. Like that?
like that.
Okay. Cool. All right. Good. Are we happy with the quote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, good. So let's move on to our section right here. So we want this one section with an article and an image to look like that. So we want them next to each other, right? And the first section, I think we have two sections, like first one is the top section and the bottom section. So the top section should look like that. And the bottom section will be like three articles sort of just next to each other. So let's see, we have, we have top section with an article. So what do we do here with our top section?
Flex it.
Yeah, we can display to flex.
Since you guys are familiar with it, which I now know.
And we can make it smaller, set the width of the image to a smaller
Okay.
size.
Okay, yeah, we have, where is it? Image, let's give it a class name of yurt. Okay. By the way, with the image, when you're trying to control the size of the image, it's better to use either width or height. Because let's say we control the width to, I don't know, to 50. That's gonna be too small. Yeah, that's too small. Still too small. Okay. Okay. So when you're adjusting the width of the image, the height of it will be adjusted automatically proportionally to the width.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you try to control both width and height, I mean, to some extent, you can be successful. However, at some point, you will lose the proportion because you don't know like what's the proportion of this image. So you may like risk distorting it a little. So yeah, you try to use like either width or height. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So what else are we missing here? So with this article and with this image.
We need to.
We're not
Text slide center for the article.
for the article. So, okay, so if I pick article, I think it would be safe to pick just the article and do text align center because we want all our articles to be aligned, right? So
Yeah, we can apply to all of them.
center. Of course, it's not a good practice. In a real project, you would have to give them a common class name and then use that class name. Or,
Mhm.
for example, at work in our project, in the current project that I'm working, we use SCSS. So we nest styles within each other. So how do I explain this? So for example, let's say I'm working on this file specifically, right? And I'm coming up with class names. How do I make sure that somebody else in this huge project doesn't have the same class name? And my style on this class name doesn't affect the class name of the other part of the UI, right? Because this can realistically happen. I mean, for example, how many top sections you can have in a huge project? I'm guessing the chances of having similar class name are pretty high, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why what we do, we use SCSS. We, for example, this, let's say, whole UI, so including the header, would be wrapped in a div with a class name of, I don't know, like Kyrgyzstan article or something, if this was an article about Kyrgyzstan, right? And then we would nest, so let's say this is the div, right? We would nest all of our styles within that div so that we know that basically all the styles that we are implementing are only within this div. So it's safer this way. In smaller projects, in our practice projects, of course, we're gonna go ahead and give like to one article, we're gonna give like text align center because it's just one page, right? But be aware of this kind of things. And in a real project, of course, you will have to come up with like unique class names, or you may use some kind of, I don't know, library. There are libraries that will generate unique class names for you. Or for example, we also use nDesign library, which gives us some built-in solutions for UI. So for example, I don't have to come up with like a design of, let me show you. So I don't have to come up with a design of like a button or, you know, like a calendar, because they have it for me. They have it, they have like different options that I can choose from their menu. So for example, there's a button, right? And they have different styled buttons with like different icons that you can add, different colors, etc., that you can use so that you don't have to spend time, you know, designing them. They even have like gradient options and stuff. Yeah, or for example, recently I was working on, where is it? On badges. Yeah, so this thing. So I was working on this alert functionality, and we needed to come up with this alert badge. So like how many alerts is the user getting, right? So designing this alert would take some time. I mean, not a long time. You would have to meddle with, you know, some positioning, some margin, some padding, etc., right? However, you don't even have to do it because you have like a built-in solution, which is very convenient. Yeah. And it gives you like different options, different colors and stuff. Plus it comes with its own functionality, which you can use, which is also very convenient. We're not dealing with the functional part yet, but when we will start building React projects, I can show you like the functional part of it. Right now, we can only appreciate the UI, but yeah,
So it works just like Google Fonts, right? We copy paste the block of code.
yeah,
and
you can see like the block of code here.
Mhm.
You can use it. They also like show you in a code pen. You can meddle with their code and see like which part of the code will affect what. So for example, the count is showing like the number of alerts, right?
Mhm.
And then they have a show zero option, which is basically if you have zero notifications, do you even want to show the badge or not? So if you remove it, it will not show the badge at all. Oh, did I accidentally refresh it? Sorry. Yeah. So these kind of things.
Mhm.
Of course, like it's not like you will have to build something from scratch, right? Even like coming up with colors, we have a list of specific colors for each project that we use in a separate file that you just import and use it. And that's also very convenient because you don't have to like think, oh, if I hover over the button, like what kind of color do I want to use? Because you already have it.
Asel, can you also please show how to work with icons? Because sometimes when I need to place a specific icon, I can only find the one that comes with its default background. And is it possible to make it like more transparent so it blends in with the background color that I set?
Okay, we can. Sorry.
Bless
In
you.
the next class, we can explore icons and how we can manipulate them if you want. Yeah.
Next class, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 15 minutes left, unfortunately, of today's class. But in the next class, I can show you like which icon libraries you can use, how much you can meddle with them. Not all of them are super flexible,
Mhm.
but yeah, we can try. David, are you already familiar with CSS libraries or frameworks?
Only with the Bootstrap.
Yeah, Bootstrap is really cool. I love it.
Yeah, it's not
Super
too bad.
convenient. Super
Yeah.
convenient. I wish we were using Bootstrap because InDesign, it's like a bit more complex, but also InDesign gives you, I think, a bit more flexibility in terms of like functionality. But
You
Bootstrap,
guys don't use the Bootstrap in work? It don't work with it?
no, we don't, unfortunately. I wish we
Why?
did.
You guys doing just clean CSS?
No, we use InDesign.
Oh, okay.
So it's like Bootstrap, but I think it gives you a bit more options in terms of like functionality, I
Yeah.
would say. But it
And they
has
also
the
have
same,
a lot of the already like made, for example, the nav bars for the
yeah,
side is already made, so you can just copy paste it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. InDesign also has all of that, but it also offers you like functionality behind it. So,
Mhm.
for example, you know how when you're loading, let's say Gmail, you will see like a bunch of pages, like 100 pages that you need to show, right? This
Yep.
functionality is called pagination. So usually you have to come up with the logic yourself, like how many emails you want to show per page. And it can get a bit complex, but here, for example, they have pagination built in, and
Oh.
it's very convenient. And I'm sure you've seen it on Bootstrap as well. So it gives you like the design for pages. It also gives you the functionality. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, you know?
Oh, cool.
So once we work on like React projects, I can show you how InDesign works with React. But yeah, let's try to finish as much as we can now. Okay, so what we did, okay, we did text align center. I didn't see it being centered. Okay, cool. So how about this article? Are we
I have to give the class for that article and made a width for it.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. So article, let's say main. Let's say main article. And let's give it a width of. Should we give a width or just maybe padding? Maybe some padding is enough. 20 pixels. Close enough. Or
Yep.
do you guys want it to be like super narrow? Let's see. I think it's fine. Yeah. Okay. In this bottom section, let's see, we have main article. Where is it? Oh, for now it's just a section, so let's give it a class name of bottom section, right? Okay. So how do I make sure that they're placed next to each other again?
Flex it too.
Hmm?
Just put the display flex too for him.
Display flex. And maybe, yeah, maybe just give them a little padding. So let's say bottom section article, right? So this will target all articles inside this bottom section. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
So let's give them a padding of 10 pixels. Should be enough. Let's do 15. Just a little bit more breathing room. Okay, cool. So this is the UI. Quite simple. And I'm really glad that you guys covered some parts of Flexbox. It will make our life so much easier in the future because you don't have to, like, I thought today we will be dealing with like floating, which I think nobody uses these days. So it's good
I
that we
really don't understand why we like learn the floating, because oh my god, it's make a lot of problems, you know, when
Yeah, it does. It's a pain to use floating. I think it's just for you guys to understand like the very basics of CSS probably. And so that later when you move on to Grid and Flexbox, you can appreciate it more because your life will be so much easier without floating. Yeah, but I don't think anybody uses floating anymore, to be honest. All right. So agreed. The next class we will learn a little something about animations and transitions, which I think will be something new, something interesting. And then also I will keep in mind that we want to talk about icons, some of the icon libraries that we can use and how we can manipulate them. Anything else?
Oh, that's it, I guess.
Cool. So we have an agreement then?
Yep.
All right. So we
Thank
have
you
a
so much, Asel.
thank you so much for joining.
It was
And
a great class.
thank you. It was really nice meeting all of you. I hope to see you next Saturday. And I hope you guys have a great week ahead of you. And even if it gets like really overwhelming, just remember that we should take one step at a time, and that, you know, once you guys will get into this pace, it will take some time to adjust, a couple of weeks maybe, but it will get easier over time. Okay, so don't give up, stay with us. And if you feel like it's getting like too overwhelming, or you know, if it's like too much pressure on you or something, feel free to reach out to any of the instructors, to me as well. Okay, I may not respond immediately, but I will always take time to respond when I see your message. So yeah, just make sure that you talk to somebody if you feel like it's getting overwhelming. Don't stay alone in your you know, anxiety, right? Because I know, like, I've been in your place, so I know that it can get challenging.
I think it's gonna be more question when it's become to the JavaScript and React. So
Yes, definitely, definitely. Right now, like, really enjoy HTML, CSS, because once we move on to JavaScript and React, it's gonna get a bit more complex, I would say, but also more interesting. I personally prefer JavaScript and React because there's a lot more logic to it.
mhm.
HTML and CSS requires you to like remember stuff more, and JavaScript, I would say it's more about logic and like step by step, like building of like instructions, right? So it's very interesting. I promise you it will be very interesting. And just stick with us. And if there is anything that you need, feel free to reach out anytime. Okay? And hopefully you guys will have a great week ahead of you. You guys are in great hands. You have great instructors. And I'm so happy that Marat is here also to, you know, join some of your classes. Really use this time to, you know, get all the knowledge and all the expertise that he has to offer. He's a great mentor, a great instructor. So I think it's a huge, you know, luck that he is joining some of your classes, because usually he doesn't join classes of like cohorts. So it's good that he has some time and he wants to spend some time with you. Yeah. All right. Cool. So I guess that's it for today. See you guys next Saturday. Okay?
Thank you,
Thank-
Asilia. Thank you for encouragement.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. See you
Thank you
next
so
weekend.
much. See ya. Bye bye.
See ya,
Bye.
bye.